Dude, it's intense in here.
My name's Nick Simons. I've been a paranormal investigator since 2009. I'm a skeptic, but I'm also a tech and an audio guy. I like to use technical devices on investigations to kind of validate what psychics think they're hearing and seeing. It's not that I don't believe, I just want to see it for myself. Who knows? Maybe after 28 days, I'll be a true believer myself.
There's a lot of stuff going on here. Whew.
From Omaha, Nebraska, the capital city of the historic Haunted Heartland, my name is Brian Corey, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this episode of the Necronomicast. Episode 239 finds me engaged in conversation with Nick Simons. He's one of the paranormal investigators on the hottest paranormal show that's sweeping the world on Netflix, 28 Days Haunted. You're going to hear a conversation with this guy that you're not going to hear anywhere else about this show. You're going to hear about the day-to-day life living in a 28-day experiment into the paranormal investigation of a haunted location. Craziness. The madcap hijinks of 28 Days Haunted with a guy from just across the river, Nick Simons. And now joining us on the Necronomicast hotline, the Newsmaker hotline, I've got him here from 28 Days Haunted. I'm so happy to finally have on the program Mr. Nick Simons. Nick, what's up, man? How are you?
Not a whole lot. Just another boring day over here in Iowa, right next door to you. Thanks for having me on. It's exciting to be here. Finally, I've followed you for a few years now and kind of said things to you on the internet here and there. And then
right. I'm always like, who's this guy in Iowa that's talking Huskers and ghosts and all this stuff to me? And
Runza.
And Runza. Right. And Runza. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah. So, you're in this big worldwide sensation of 28 Days Haunted. And as we record this, it's been out for about 10 days or so. How's your life changed in the last 10 days or so?
I'm going to say that, but outside of like random Facebook friend requests, I think I've gotten noticed at a vape shop in Charleston, South Carolina. It's the only time I've been noticed in South Carolina. As far as like my people here in Iowa, nobody seems to give a damn. They're like, yeah, whatever.
So like, how does one from Iowa get selected to? Like, what's the genesis? How did you get selected for this show? Did you know going in that it was going to be 28 days in this location locked down? Did you know all this going in, or did they just kind of contact you and then, by the way, here's the gig?
So how it all worked, my buddy Aaron, who's also on the show, him and I go way back. We've been just chasing ghosts and doing stuff since about 2009. And it was about April of last year. I was on vacation in northern Iowa with the wife and some friends. And I was actually sitting on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River fishing. And he sent me a text message and was like, hey, these producers want to talk to us. So, okay. And, the many, many years of us playing on YouTube and putting videos up there, you get, a couple producers that talk to you once or twice a year and you never hear anything else. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. I'll talk to them. And so we do the meeting with them, and a couple months go by. Then all of a sudden they hit us back up. Hey, it's, so-and-so from blah, blah, blah. And we'd like to talk to you guys again. Whoa. This is probably the first time that we've ever gotten, a call back, second interview. So we get on there and they're like, yeah, you guys made the cut and you're going to be part of this program where we lock you guys in a haunted house for 28 days straight just to see what it'll do to you. And as a paranormal investigator, that's like your dream is to be in a haunted location, and you start, rolling these ideas around, maybe it'll be like a big asylum in 28 days of just nonstop action. And so we were more than thrilled to go out and do this, not knowing fully what we were getting into. Besides that, I'd need to take 28 days off of work.
And work was cool with that, obviously.
Work was like, hurry up, leave.
And now you got a wife and kids. So
just a wife and cats, actually.
Oh, well, excuse me. I didn't know. I thought I saw someplace that you had kids. So, okay. So, and your wife, how long have you guys been married?
It was 5 years this year.
Okay. So you haven't gotten like to the 7-year itch yet. So 28 days, like, honey, I'm going to be gone for 4 weeks. And she was like, awesome. Or was she like not? Like how do you sell this to to your wife? I mean, that's a long time to be gone, and but I guess you got it all worked out.
She her face kind of like split into two. There was the side that was excited, like, holy crap, you guys did it. You guys made it to the top, I guess you could say. I don't know if you'd call it the top, but you made it to a big time production. And then the other side was like, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to be gone that long. And then she starts rolling around ideas of like things are going to get crazy, which they're not getting crazy yet. I got recognized in South Carolina. I'm huge in South Carolina. Let me tell you, I was signing autographs, kissing babies, and shaking hands the whole time I was out there for work. Yeah. I got hardly any work done.
It's that guy. It's the Netflix guy.
There he is. Get him.
Did you know it was going to be on Netflix going in, or is this something where the production company's like, we're making this show and then we're going to pitch it to networks?
Yeah, we knew it was going to Netflix right away.
Wow. Okay. So the whole premise, 28 days, you're locked into this place, the Captain Grant's Inn in Preston, Connecticut. And you're there, like you said, with your friend Aaron Thompson and then Sean Astin. Did you know Sean Astin, the psychic, before you went in, or did they just kind of pair you guys all up?
No, actually, we met Sean Austin.
Awesome. Sorry. I can't read my own writing.
Like the Goonies.
It is. I did write down Austin. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm a pro.
We yeah, pro radio guy. We met Sean the day of. So we landed in Connecticut, and that was all we knew.
Right.
Not sketchy at all. All right, you guys need to get on a plane in Moline, Illinois, which is right across the river. It's like 2 minutes away. Get on a plane in Moline, fly to Minneapolis, and from Minneapolis, you go to Bridgeport, Connecticut, or whatever the main airport is out there. And then they picked us up and drove us to a little hotel by the airport. We slept there, and then the next day, they showed up with Sean and 3 blindfolds and said, get in the truck. Like Gran Torino, get in the effing truck. Right. And it was off to the races. And a lot of people watching the shows, like leaving comments and stuff. They're like, yeah, whatever. No, that's really what happened. We met Sean. We had enough time to shake his hands and the cameras clicked on. We want to start filming a couple things, have you two standing there, have Sean walk up and shake hands. Then we got in the truck and shut all of our cell phones off and forked them over.
Yeah. So you really people are, I've read stuff on Reddit, even though I shouldn't. And then I read stuff online and people have always, everybody's got their opinion on stuff. And so what I'm always looking for is like, are you really doing what you say you're doing? And from what you're saying is, yeah, you flew into the place, you guys met, you had a night in a hotel, and then it's blindfolds on, just like we saw on television. So you put the blindfolds on, you're driving to this location. Had you heard of the Captain Grant's Inn? Have you heard of this place before going in? Because I hadn't.
Oh, neither have I. I had no idea. We knew we were going to Connecticut for maybe about a week, a little more than a week. And, that gives you time to Google things. And God
Right.
forbid you ever have to Google Connecticut hauntings, because it's like
Right.
80,000 results. Which one do you want? And so Captain Grant's before the show wasn't something that would pop up in a Google search like that. You'd get Norwich State Hospital, and then there's some sanatorium that's right down like on the beach, facing the ocean, and a couple other I think there was a asylum on the campus of the University of Connecticut that was cool. So I was had my fingers crossed for that. I'm like, this is going to be like camping. So fast forward to the ride, which that ride and that Suburban with the blindfolds on was like probably 30 to 40 minutes. And we hopped out of that Suburban. And when we take those blindfolds off, we've had them on for 30 to 40 minutes, and you take them off and the sun's out and everybody's looking at the house with squinty eyes, trying to squint and tough through it. And we had to reshoot that like 5 different times as our eyes started to get more focused and being used to sunlight again. It was tough.
Yeah. So okay. So you get out of the car and you're at this place and they've already confiscated your cell phones and there's no computer or iPad or any kind of thing that you can contact or start researching and looking things up. So you're really in there pretty blind.
Yeah, there is. I mean, they even took stuff inside of the house that would have said Captain Grant's. I know on the very last day, the owners and stuff, they were like, yeah, we had pamphlets and stuff in there, but they made us take them out because, you know, they're like, all right, we're done filming. And the first thing we did was walk over to the owners because they live next door.
Oh.
And we, you know, shook their hands and said, you got a pretty house, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, during filming, during the actual 28 days, we'd stand outside and they'd be outside and we'd look at them and they'd look at us and that'd be it. I mean, everybody that was there on site.
We'll cut all that out.
Yeah. Leave it in. Man, he is a big hillbilly. Like one of the reviews said, did they find all these people in Branson, Missouri?
Hey, there's a lot of fresh faces on this show. I appreciated that. Like of course I've seen like Shane Pittman before. You know, but anyway, I'm interrupting. So you're talking about, you know, the owners were right there. And so you did get to see them a little bit. They didn't interact with you very much though? Yeah.
Zero interaction from the owners. I mean, even the production assistants, you know, me, I'm Iowa nice. So I'd be outside in the bright and early in the morning having a cup of coffee and they'd be walking by. I'd be like, how you doing? And they would just look straight at the ground and keep walking. I'm like, what? These Hollywood types are mean, man.
So like, are you filming your 28 days the same time that the other teams are filming their 28 days, or did you guys stagger them out?
Yeah, they were staggered out.
Okay. So like they can,
but it was back to back to back.
Mm-hmm. So they can concentrate like on you guys. Another thing I was interested in, like just the nuts and bolts of the whole show. Your wife's back home in Iowa, and was she able to contact, like, you know, like something like if something happened at home, you know, God forbid.
Right.
But I mean, like, she has like a hotline to the producers, like they can get a hold of you, but it's not just, you're not like, you know, you got the night off and you can, you know, talk to your wife. It's nothing like that.
No, actually that first day that we were there, we actually got a long email from the head of the production assistants. And it was like, these are all the emergency numbers if your people back at home need to get a hold of us. And the like emergency number was like the head honcho producer that was there on site every day with us. And thankfully, nothing happened. I mean, I had a cat that got pretty sick, but he pulled through.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering, I was like, 28 days, that's a long time. First of all, it's just a long time to take a vacation or to be away from home. That's a long time to be away from home. And then now you're in a mystery location that you can't like do some research on while you're there. And now you're looking for paranormal activity. And I like it how they framed you. And you could talk about this. They didn't frame you, but I mean, you come across as kind of the skeptic. Like you're in there, in for the ride. They asked you to do something weird, and you said, "Sure, looks safe. I'm going to do it." And you know, you didn't go in there with, you know, guns blazing. This is a ghost. This is a demon. This is this. This is that. You know, you're like taking all the information in, and I appreciated that.
That you're not the first person to say that. And actually, like close friends that have actually that I've taken out on investigations before, they're like, man, there's a lot of reviews about how you guys are acting. And I just wanted to write back and be like, yeah, Nick's not acting. That's 100% how he is. And you know as much as I do that paranormal investigations aren't like what you saw on 28 Days. I mean, most nights we were just lounging around, just waiting for something to happen. I mean, you saw maybe 3 or 4 different nights that they highlighted on the show, and there's still 24 other nights that, of us doing solos in the house, going out back to the cemetery alone, being out there, just trying anything. I mean, it was to the point like, what are we going to do tonight? Spin the wheel. Shut. I mean, we were running out of ideas. I mean, it was like, all right, I'm going to hold a Ouija board in one hand and the electrostatic generator in the other hand. Whichever one hits first, we're going to go with that. And I mean, but there was a lot of really neat experiences and experiments that didn't make the show, that it was like kind of like poo-poo, like, damn, that would have been cool to see on TV, but at least I have the memories.
Yeah. Tell me about the camera crew that was in there following you around. Was there 2 guys, 3, was there a lot of people there, or was it pretty much you 3 in the house and 1 or 2 extra, or what's the production of it like, I don't want you to give away trade secrets or anything, like if you decide to, if you had to sign a do not disclose, but I just wonder, like, you guys are doing your thing and the cameraman, kind of like a cameraman at a wedding, they're supposed to capture what's going on, but not be part of the show, usually.
Right. There was some outdoor shots that they had an additional camera guy for. And, but as far as like all the inside of the house and the investigation parts, it was us carrying the camera, and then it was the robot cameras on the walls. I called him Wally all the time. I'd look him dead in the lens and be like, "Hey, Wally, turn and look over here," because they could do 360 degrees.
Really?
And then another 180 up and down.
They must have had to sneak into this place early before you guys got there and get it all wired up and ready to go.
Oh yeah, it was wired up like a Christmas tree. There was probably, I think there was like 16 cameras overall just posted up inside of this place. One at the bottom of the stairs, one up at that could look up and down both angles of the hallway. 2 in the main room where we always sat at the table that had the iMac at it.
Mm-hmm.
1 in the kitchen. They had this place covered. There was 3 in the basement, and they ended up using none of that footage. That was a cool basement too. Like, when you think of old Connecticut hauntings, right, that's the basement right there. That is the haunted basement in Connecticut. I mean, it's like slabs of stone that have no like grout in between it or anything. Just stack them up and we'll build a house on top of it.
Right. And it stays, or it's, been there.
And it stayed like that for 270 something years.
Unreal. If it was Omaha, they'd tear it down and, build a new one.
Yeah. It would have got washed away in the flood. Oh, wait, we're in the Midwest. So it would have been washed away in the flood.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So for 28 days, like, how did you guys eat? Did they bring you food every day, or did you do some cooking in the kitchen, or like what do you guys, 3 guys, like, how do you agree on stuff every night, or like, tell me about that.
So
this whole thing's very fat. The whole thing's very fat. We'll get to the ghost stuff in a minute, but just like, it's
ghosts,
very fast.
You see all there is to see about ghosts on the show. So
right.
Food. So every week we'd make a grocery list, and it was like kids in a candy store. It was like, what do we want to eat this week, fellas? Let's get some more steaks, some chicken thighs, and we just leave the list out, and the PAs would come and pick that up, and they'd run to the store and go shopping for us and bring it back. And, they'd either leave it outside, or if we were out like doing something or talking to the producers, they would put it inside the house so the flies and stuff wouldn't get it. But I mean, we had steaks, chicken, and we grilled out every night.
Yeah.
The house with the 3 guys, we had a fire going though almost every night.
What month did you film this?
It was August.
Oh, just this August, or last year?
No, last year.
Last year. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had to sit on this for a while, so that you film it all in August, and those other guys in the other houses are filming too on their months. And then there's the monumental task of going through, like you said, 16 cameras, filming all the time. Obviously, there wasn't one in the bathroom. That's good. So,
it would have really been a, 6'7", 325 pounds. That I'd make a good bathroom video.
Sure, right. So we got hours. I mean, hundreds, thousands of hours probably. I mean, of footage that they've had to sit through and go through and look for every little, there's things, especially I saw in the Madison dry goods store where, things fall off the shelf and just little things, and doors shut here on this house and this thing happens over here, but they have to go through and just examine. So it wouldn't surprise me though. Like, you said you got all this footage that they didn't use and they didn't use this experiment. Is there going to be do they have the option to 28 days? Like,
25.
Like Jackass did, 2.5 or whatever,
Yeah.
And there could be another cut or some extra stuff thrown in there at some point, maybe. I mean, I'm sure you watch it and they reduce it down to 6 half-hour or 35-minute shows. And that's, I could have watched a lot more of it just to see what else was uncovered or more to the story, especially with the 3 different stories over there at the Lumber Baron Inn. I said Madison Dry Goods, and then your place, Captain Grant's. Incredible. So you're filming all this stuff, and there's times, where their tensions flare a little bit, and I can imagine that is because you're just 3 guys in a house, cooped up, locked up, don't have anybody else to talk to, and I'm sure after a while it's just like, oh my gosh, especially if you've got difference of opinion of how you want to investigate.
Yeah, they. I think for the people in charge, that was kind of the perfect storm that they were looking for. Me being skeptical and Sean being a full believer, and they were just sitting around any day now. It's like putting 2 cats in a room together. It might not start right away, but something's going to happen. And they got a little bit, and after that, we were able to kind of put things aside and work together on completing the show. But there was definitely, you could cut it with a knife, as it was thick some days.
Yeah, I don't want to say that there's a conflict of egos or anything bad like that, but it just, you got 3 guys with their opinions and their experiences and how they like to do things, and then everybody's got their, like I said, they got their own opinions about everything. And you worked with Aaron a bunch, like you said earlier. You guys were making YouTube videos and stuff, and that's how you kind of got discovered for this. You and Aaron, how'd you guys meet?
Aaron used to work with my wife, and back in 2009, he was running around where they worked, and he's like, "I'm Aaron G. Thompson. I'm gonna start a ghost group. This and that." And she ended up, love you, Aaron. She looked at him and she said, "Well, you could take Nick. He's as big as a door," and the rest is history.
Yeah. So was it something that has been interesting to you for years, or is this just kind of something you like, that looks fun, I'm going to go try it, and you just kind of leaned into it?
As a youngster, I'm only 38. I shouldn't be saying youngster yet. As a little guy, my mom's boyfriend at the time bought a old nursing home and was working on remodeling it into apartments, which it's apartments now, in a little town called Clinton, Iowa. He actually built an apartment in there for us to live in. That way, if he wanted to go to work, he just right outside the door and you're at work.
Yeah.
This is going to be a huge payoff for you once it's done and completed and you have your own apartment building. So we lived in this place, and there was always something going on. And, a 10-year-old boy living in a building that has over 60 rooms in it. Anybody want to have a sleepover? We're not going to bed. We're just going to spend the night running around playing hide and go seek. I think one time we went spelunking down the old laundry chute. It was just nonstop action. And maybe that was my first voyage into the 28 day cycle.
Yeah.
there was, definitely some weird things that would happen in this building at night. The dog would freak out. The cats would freak out. One night we were leaving, and it was my mom and my sister and I, and we were walking out to go out to the car, which the cars were parked in the old parking lot out back. And as we were going out, off to the left, there was a corridor that went way down from the old part of the building into the new part of the building. And at the end of that corridor, there was an old wheelchair down there. And the three of us at the same time saw this wheelchair go squeak and like turn and face us. And we were just like, go, get outside like right now. And I think that's really where things started for me on like questioning what else is out there that we can't see, whether or not it's ghosts or the shadow people from the movie Ghost. I mean, what's really out there?
Sure. Yeah, I'm really into like I've been reading a lot like the psychic connection and near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences and how all that kind of contributes to the world of ghosts and hauntings and things like that. I just find it super interesting. Sometimes I'm like, ghosts, who says they're dead people? Who, they might be. I don't know. Some are, some aren't. But it's just so fascinating to kind of ponder like all these weird mysteries. And for you to be on this show 28 days, you mentioned like, like when you're a kid in this place, and weird things happened at night. When you're in this place all day, all night, all day, all night, was there ever like weird things that happened during the day and not at night? Or was like the haunting, did it kind of come with the sundown? Did it kind of leave when the sun came up? Anything at all like that? Or did it follow a schedule at all or anything like that? I'm just curious, like other things that you might have uncovered in an entire 4-week span.
It really was around the clock. Sean and Aaron, if they do listen to this, they'll probably both get a chuckle out of this. There was a day that the whole house filled with smoke. And it was the coffee pot. It clicked on. And, there was just a smidgen of, to the point of, the end. It was a commercial coffee pot. So we actually had the globes for the coffee to go into, and there was just like a ring of coffee left in the bottom, and it boiled all that up, and it started like smoking bad. Because it was the grounds and the thick coffee that was just sitting there burning on the burner, and everybody was like, "I don't remember even having coffee today. What the hell?" And you'd be laying in bed at night after everybody's left and gone home. They're like, "Man, you guys had a good investigation. All right, see you, bye. Have fun staying in the house. We'll see you later." All the cars leave, and you left there like, "Come back." You'd be laying in bed at night, and you could hear mice and stuff running around, and it's pretty easy to identify those in a house built in 1754. Maybe even older. We found out later that they don't really keep records of when those houses that are that old, when they were built. But it was easy to identify the mice and the critters. But you'd also hear stuff that's like, that could be a person.
Yeah. Mice don't
either
walk that heavy or something like that.
Yeah, that could be somebody coming into the house from the street, because it's like, I wonder if production locked the door behind them, because, we'd lock doors.
Like I had Johnny Hauser, talk to him one time, and one of his big encounters or weird things that happened in the Villisca house was when he was doing some maintenance work. He was upstairs by himself. And he tells the story all the time, so we're not talking out of school. And he heard the front door open or people walk around. He's like, "Oh, somebody's breaking into the house. So I'm going to scare him." So he hid in the closet. He was waiting for these, kids to pop upstairs. Never did. Went downstairs, door locked just as it was, door shut just as it was, everything. And he just, kind of freaked out, because he's like, "There's people in this house. There's absolutely people in this house, and I'm gonna, scare them." So yeah. So I can imagine like you're in this weird location that you've never been to before, can't really research thoroughly in terms of historical stuff on the internet, and you're laying there at night, everybody jets, and footsteps or noises and weird stuff that aren't animals. I just can't imagine what it would have been like. What a weird concept, man. 28 days in a place like that.
It was definitely hard to get used to.
I was admiring your Friday the 13th part 6 picture back there of Jason holding the bloody arm.
Oh yeah, that's CJ Graham got him to sign that personally to me, and I'm bigger than him.
You're bigger? Are you bigger than Kane Hodder though?
I haven't met Kane. I got to meet CJ last year, and yeah, he's still a huge dude, but like height wise, I got him beat.
Yeah,
yeah, that's CJ Graham. Then I have a Kane Hodder next to him. Then over here, there's a cool fan art that I bought off of a guy. It's like a concept poster that they made Freddy versus Jason in the 80s.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I have my back behind this door. I've got my I have my Ari Lehman. I've got my Kane Hodder. I've got my Alice Adrian King. Got my Nick Castle autograph. So I saw that back there. I'm like, there's a man of good taste back there.
Oh, we just hinge you up, and there's all sorts of stuff up there.
Beautiful. I love it.
I think there's even my Gunnar Hansen's up there.
Nice. There you
Nick,
go.
keep that saw sharp. He died like a year after that, so that was kind of sad. But to bounce back to your Johnny Hauser story.
Yeah.
Actually, the first time I went to Villisca, it was actually the wife and I. We went to the big Slipknot concert that they had in Council Bluffs in 2012. We're going in the way back machine now. Sure. We were driving back from that. We were driving back from Knotfest in Council Bluffs. I'm like, well, we're out here. We might as well swing through Villisca. And this is my first time ever going to the Axe House, and swung through there, met Johnny Hauser. Turns out we have the same tattoo. It's just mine's on my leg and his is on his arm.
Which one's that?
That scarecrow that he has on his arm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I have the same one on my leg. So we got to meet him, got chatting with him, and we took the day tour of the house, and he gave us his whole spiel that he can probably do it in his sleep by now. And he let us roam around the house just because I told him I was a investigator at the time. And at that time, I'd been only farting around with it for like 3 years. Yeah. And so he let us roam around the house, and I turned my iPhone recording on and just recorded audio on my iPhone. We was roaming around the house, and we went upstairs to the children's room, and the wife was like, man, it's hard to breathe up here. And when she says that, it sounds like somebody comes in the house downstairs. But none of us could pick it up. Like when you're there, somebody's coming into that house.
Oh yeah.
It's everybody sees it on TV, and then they see it in real life, and it's like meeting your favorite radio DJ for the first time. It's like, that's it.
Yeah. It takes like 2 seconds to walk through the whole place. And you're a big dude. Like, how'd you negotiate those stairs?
Carefully.
Yeah.
I think I used the slide both of your hands up the wall. And then once you get to the top, you just reach over top of the railing and pull yourself up.
Right.
It was a lot of watching your head, just kind of like in Connecticut. There's a shot of me going through my bedroom doorway, and you see me, I had to like duck in to get into it. And it was the bathroom doorway. It was even worse, just smashing your head into that every morning.
Yeah. Cause that place built in the 1700s, fellas were a lot smaller back then. We're bigger.
Yeah.
We're bigger than they were back in the day.
The cool thing cool behind the scenes about Captain Grant's up in the attic. And I saw this, and I was like, I was going nuts about it. And Sean and Aaron were like, yeah, whatever. But the roof trusses in the attic are all numbered in Roman numerals going all the way across.
Oh,
from
wow.
1 to 13. I'm like, that is badass.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been in like investigated a place that old because I was just thinking like the history. I mean, you could have generations of ghosts there, depending on how many people, families. I mean, they could have had one tragedy one year, and then 100 years later, you could have had people reacting to the original haunting, and then now there's psychical energies haunting the place, and then another 100 years later, somebody else is reacting to those hauntings, and now you guys are filming a show there. And do they do overnights there? Like that you can book the place.
I don't know. I assume, yeah. They offer on their website, you can rent the whole place. I think it's like $1,000 just because there's the three rooms that we slept in upstairs plus an additional room. Then there's another room downstairs that they can be renting out because traditional bed and breakfast style, they'll rent each one of those rooms out separately.
Sure.
And do like a big community breakfast in the morning because their kitchen was badass. And it is set up to be like cooking for a boatload of people.
Right.
So I imagine that they are, hoping to have a big community breakfast to cook every morning. But they do offer, you can rent the place out. I've read stories online, just looking it up after I came home or bored in February, wondering when the show's going to come out.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What's that like? Like you filmed this last August of 2021. And then you're like, man, how about that? And then everybody else is filming either before or after you, in their locations. And then there's the waiting game of them going through everything. Did you have contact with the producers? They're like, when did you find out it was going to be October time?
We found out probably July this year. They flew us all out to Los Angeles to do some additional voiceover work. Yeah, they pretty much said October's going to be the go date. I'm like, ooh, save it for my birthday. And they're like, no. All right.
When's your birthday?
My birthday is on the 17th. So it was kind of saved for my birthday, but I don't think they wanted to drop that on a Monday. Coming this Monday to Netflix, 28 Days Haunted.
Funny. Yeah. My birthday's the 7th, and the new Hellraiser came out on Hulu on the 7th. And so I'm having the director of that movie's been on Necronomicast a couple times, and he's going to be on, as we record this, we're going to record an interview, kind of a reaction to Hellraiser and his experience working on it in December. Anyway, I sent him a text when I saw that Hellraiser was coming out on October 7th, which was my birthday. I'm like, well, thanks, David, for putting the movie out on my birthday. He's like, yeah, happy birthday. We picked this date like months and months and months and months and months ago. Like, well, I know you didn't pick it just for me.
He just texts back in all lowercase with no punctuation. Yeah, we did that for you.
Right. See how much pull,
Yeah.
see how much stroke I got on this show. I can.
Yeah.
Funny. Yeah. But that waiting game of waiting, like, and I assume, there's they have to pay you for your time. So, I mean, do you get paid when the show comes out, or is it like early or like after that, or like, how does that work? Like the compensation for you?
Yeah, that was all taken care of while we were on the show. It was
just like a regular job, like a pay.
Yeah, it was like going to work.
Yep. I wondered how that worked. So now you're wrapped up with this special. You filmed it all. It's out there. What's next for Nick paranormally?
Or
can you even say?
Oh yeah, I got nothing, no major projects in the work.
I didn't know if they're like, okay, the next secret location we're going to take you to, or
Yeah. I hope the next secret location is, like an old like poor farm or something with no windows or anything in it. That'd be, because I mean, you don't make a scary movie with bright, vibrant colors like the merry old land of Oz.
Right.
You make a scary movie with good ambiance, and I think sticking some people that aren't, probably not me, because I'd be like, this is great. Let me rub two sticks together. We're going to make a fire. But yeah, if you want to drive me nuts, you send me back to Captain Grant's. But I think that, if they were to do like a season 2, they really stress some people out by putting them into a a really crappy location, something that's been abandoned and sat for a while. And
especially in the Madison dry goods place, they went through some stuff, and I know you can't really comment on that because you weren't there. And did you see those guys or meet those guys before the show came out?
Had no idea who anybody else was until we all got to LA to do the voiceover work.
Wow.
I was sitting there.
They really kept you guys purposely in the dark, though. I mean, just so you guys, yeah. Okay.
I was sitting out on a patio, and a bunch of us had already met up because I figured out Shane was on it right away because I seen his post. Hey, I've been offline for quite a while, and now I'm just back online saying how all y'all doing. And I kind of, sent him a message. I'm like, pretty sure, I'm not saying for sure, but I'm pretty sure we worked on the same project because you were offline for quite a while.
Like 28 days?
Yeah. He's like, perhaps we were. And then sure enough, we get out to Los Angeles and it was a big, hey man, how you doing? And we were just hanging out and we're sitting on this patio, just having a couple drinks. And Jeremy Leonard comes out. Rewind to a few weeks back, I just bought Discovery Plus just to watch. I think it was the Steve Shippey and Cindy Kaza when they went and did the Ed Gein stuff.
Oh yeah, I had Steve on the show during the Gainesville Ripper one. That's when I had him on. So yeah.
I bought it to do that. I don't have any of my Ed Gein stuff up. We actually just repainted this room, but I got a bunch of very fascinating up there. I have up on the bookshelf. I have Deviant, another Ed Gein book, and then there's an Ed Gein prayer candle up there too. So I've always been fascinated.
Sir Edward, pray for us, kind of.
Yeah, pray for us, Sir Edward. Make us a sweet, sweet mask.
Right.
So I got it to watch that, and I started farting around looking at all the other shows that are on there, and ended up watching Ghosts of Morgan City. And Jeremy Leonard is, on Ghosts of Morgan City.
Oh, I forgot where I didn't look up to see where he was at. But yeah, he was, because they did the Shepherdstown and they did the Morgan City. Now they did the Devil's Perch. Right.
Yeah. Yep. Morgan City was him, Katie Stafford, and Sarah Lemos, which Sarah went and did Ghost Town Terror. And then Katie Stafford went and did Ghost of Devil's Porch, as they call it in Nebraska. And, but yeah, that's where Jeremy's from. So fast forward to us sitting in Los Angeles and he walks out and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Totally fangirled all over him for like a split second. And now we talk every day now, and we'll just send each other voice messages on Facebook Messenger. And it's usually just hillbilly mumbo jumbo, but he's like, sure. I still remember you got all starstruck when I come waddling out onto the porch.
Yeah, you did.
I'm like, shut up.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yeah. Katie was on the new show with Dave Schrader and Cindy Kaza. I just had Dave and Cindy on. I'm Facebook friends with Katie. He's going to be on Necronomicast in 2023 talking about his stuff. He's down in Kansas City. So he's not very far at all.
Yeah, that was actually the first time I met him back in the days of doing YouTube stuff. Aaron and I were actually out. We filmed at Malvern. Mm-hmm. And then the very next day or 2 days after that, we were set to film at Villisca on a Sunday night. So we did Malvern on a Friday and Villisca on a Sunday. I'm like, we got a day to kill. Kansas City Paracon's going on. It's only 2 hours down the road. So we jumped on that interstate, whatever it is, south, and punched it to Kansas City. And we were walking around and actually got talking to Katie's wife, and she's awesome. If you ever get the chance to talk to her, she is a ray of sunshine.
I will, because I think she does all his booking for him. So
Yep. So we actually started talking to her, and then he come out of nowhere and started talking about all the spirit boxes and stuff that he builds. And at that time, he had some pretty elaborate ones set out on the table. This would probably been about like 2018, I think.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, he had some stuff that was moving and sparking. It was pretty cool to meet him. And fast forward all these years later, he's just growing into a Mr. TV guy himself.
Yeah, that's totally cool. So with your role kind of being a skeptic, when you meet these people or now you got the Midwest sensibility about you, and I appreciate that. And you got that going for you. But when you meet some of these people and, kind of skeptic, and I'm not asking to name names, but like, does the BS detector kind of go off sometimes? Like, how does this electronic thing work? Or what do you mean by that? Or, do you still find yourself, kind of the role of I don't mean skeptic in a bad way. I mean, like you're really looking for truth, in other words, like what's really going on here? Is it harder now that you've been on a show, or is it easier being on a show? Like you kind of get to know people, or what do you think?
I think the skeptic radar is always kind of off when I'm like meeting people and stuff like that, hey, yeah, real excited and, try to say a funny joke or something when I meet people. But like when we do like the public hunts and stuff like that, and we'll just throw Aaron under the bus when he's, doing using a ghost box or one of the phone applications. He's like, "Do you hear that? It said Davenport, Iowa." I'm like, "No, it didn't." Yeah. I'm always on people when it comes to stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
it's going, the REM pod, it's going off. It's going off. I'm like, yeah, because you're using a walkie-talkie to call back the base station. That's why it's doing that. And
sure.
That's kind of like my level of like skepticism, not like beating people up for like the littlest, teeniest, tiniest. Oh. That's not how you do it. When you tie your shoes, the rabbit goes around the tree, then through the hole. I'm not like that.
Right. Like with my skepticism or whatever, when people tell me definitively, like, this is what this means, like, there's a ghost in here because this thing says there's a ghost. I'm like, oh, okay. If you want to think that there's 100% chance that that's because it's a ghost, that's fine. Who am I to say? I don't know. So I feel like I like to have conversations with people and not confrontations with people. So
yeah, and I'm right up there with you as far as like the phone applications and stuff like that. Yeah, they're in a whole league of their own, and I'm not really a big fan of using phone applications, but what I do enjoy is the SB7 Spirit Box. And a lot of people hate it, but I run that thing at full speed as fast as it can go, and I always record my sessions with that. And then I'll take the recording and put that through Adobe Audition and really stretch that audio out from that and really break down what exactly is coming through that. And with Adobe Audition, you can noise cancel out a bunch of that static and turn up the audio that you did record, and it makes it a whole lot easier to really hear what's actually trying to be said to you through the Spirit Box.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad that you do that. So do you run like a Y splitter out of the box and record the Spirit Box like on a separate track as well as?
No, I usually hold them about an arm's length apart. Actually, I will hold the digital recorder in my hand. That way you can hear my questions. That way I have a record of my questions as well as the responses that are coming across that. And when I'm doing that, I'm not keeping, like, you see a lot of like YouTube videos of people like losing their mind. Oh my God, it said, yup. Did you hear it? It said, yup. And they high five. It's like, okay, yeah, neat. Things say, it always sounds like it's saying, yup. You think, Sally from 1897 is like, I really can't believe that you murdered your family and children. How do you feel? Yep. When I'm breaking down audio from the Spirit Box, I am looking for very compelling answers to my questions. There's back in the day, we shot a YouTube video of us standing in the middle of Duck Creek Park here in Davenport. It's probably still up on YouTube. We were getting ready to leave, and I said, we're getting ready to leave. Is there anything else you'd like the world to know? And I turned the Spirit Box on, and like a split second goes by. And then right away, this voice pops up, and it says, what would I need the world to know? And it is intense. Like, people discredit that thing way too fast. Like, people really need to put the work into that, and there is some awesome stuff that you can get from that.
Yeah, like there's no such thing as a ghost detector, but when you take these tools and you use them, and then you, like you said, you document it, you're recording it, you're going back through Adobe. I use Logic Pro. You go back and you can really, I can go down if you want to. You can go down to a thousandth of a second and just like look at everything and how. Who knows what these things are? I don't know if they're ghosts talking to us. I don't know if it's people from the future or people from the past. I don't know if it's people from right now in another part of the world talking. Like it's just so you just hear these things and and we don't know exactly. It's not like they have caller ID that tells us where they're calling from. From what portal or what dimension or what time period they're coming from. So it's endlessly fascinating, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you start breaking down like dimensions and stuff like that. And it reminds me of going back to Mr. Johnny Hauser. He used to have a YouTube channel where he told scary stories. I can't remember the name of the show that he did, but he told this story one time about this old guy living in a cabin by himself out in the middle of the woods in the 1800s. And on a dark and stormy night, people were pounding on his door, and it sounded like people were running all over his house, this guy's house, and he's panicking and panicking and panicking and freaking out. And he can't find where all these people are coming from. He can hear them talking, and then they start calling his name. The guy's name was like John or something like that. And he's like, "What do you want? What do you want? I'm right here. Where are you? Please, where are you? I can't find you." And the story ends with, "John, if you can hear us, knock 3 times. So this guy was like panicking while a ghost hunt in the future was going on around him. And it really, really makes you think, like, are we actually interacting with spirits that are past? I mean, I know Johnny's story was not a real story, but it makes you think that, like, us here in the present day, are we actually interacting with a period in time, and as it's going on as it was then, can they really interact with us in the present day, like what happened in that story?
Sure. Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. And John Tenney, when he came to Omaha and did the Necronomicast live event, he told a story very similar to something like that about people seeing something that they thought was a ghost. But then when they went back in the story, it was like the person that originally lived there saw the future people and thought that they were ghosts. So, I mean, it was like people from the past saw people from the future saw people from the past. And just, you know what I mean? It's like, right. It's like, it's like that Spider-Man cartoon where like they're all pointing at each other,
Yeah. That scene from The Office when they all have their guns.
right. It's exactly like that. And who's to say? And that's why, I like the skeptical side of just saying, like, well, you're being definitive and saying this is a demon, this is a ghost, this is that. And we don't have a laboratory where we can conjure up a ghost and see that it's, 10% this and 40% that, you know what I mean? We don't even know what these things are, but it doesn't stop us from having fun, having crazy conversations, and locking ourselves up into weird locations for 4 weeks straight. Man, I still can't believe you're in there for 4 weeks straight.
Yeah, and it just adds more craziness to the people of Iowa.
Yeah, you guys are nuts. I've said that to Josh Hurd and Hauser all the time. You guys are crazy over there, just right over the river.
Yeah.
When are we going to hit? We talked about this. When are we need to hit Malvern sometime. I'd love to do a ghost hunt with you and just watch how you work and shoot the shit with you sometime. That'd be a lot of fun. So we need to
absolutely. We can do that. I'm sure Josh and Johnny would definitely clear their schedules for me coming over there as well. I mean, Johnny sent me a message when the show came out. He goes, "Man, you look good on TV. We should get together and have some bush lights sometime." And I'm like, "Yes, we should." So 2
good-looking bearded Iowa guys. There you go.
Yeah, with the same tattoo. It's like we're in a gang or something. We're gonna have a rumble.
Yeah, for real. All you need now is a Harley, and you can ride around with Hauser.
I look like I have a Harley, but I don't. My wife is a insurance claim rep for motorcycles. And
Oh,
nope, I never need a bike. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm sure she's heard some horror stories. All right.
Yeah.
Final questions for you. So, we've established all the stuff with 28 Days Later, and I really appreciate like going behind the scenes, because if people are listening to this now, you've probably already watched it, and you've read about it, and you've got your opinions either way about it. But this behind the scenes stuff, because what's interesting to me though is like, this was your life, 4 weeks of your life where you signed up and you went there, lights out, or media silence, like no phones, none of that stuff. And you just had to work it for 28 days. And whether you were bored to tears or scared out of your mind, I mean, it's just, it's pretty compelling television. Whatever you think about the paranormal, that's a lot of commitment for 28 days. So that was pretty cool.
That's been the hard part with the scathing reviews. Is they didn't really do 28 days. Yes, we did. I still have my vacation form that I turned into work, and I was really gone for 30 days altogether. And it hurts sometimes when people are like, "Oh, it's just Hollywood movie magic, this and that." Like, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, but at the end of the day, when I turned my phone on, I found out for the first time that Dusty Hill died, Joey Jordison died, and we might be going to war. COVID's coming back. My cat got sick, and I mean, that was all within one phone call. Like Dusty Hill from ZZ Top. I mean, ZZ Top is an awesome, awesome band, and Joey Jordison was the drummer for Slipknot for many years before he actually got sick with I think it was like a nerve issue that forced him to quit drumming. Like he couldn't even really play guitar much after that. Yeah. And to find out he died, I mean, Slipknot, being an Iowa kid, Slipknot's a huge part of your life. Sure. Especially growing up when I grew up. And finding out the cat was sick, but he's okay. And I mean, it was just a wave of emotions on that final day. And then we get in the car and we pull out and we watch Captain Grant's go away in the mirror. Everybody kind of turned and looked and watched as we rounded the curve, and we couldn't see it anymore. And then we finally, for the first time in 28 days, see the sign with the name of the town that we were in on it. We didn't even know what town we were in for 28 days.
That's crazy.
It was like that scene from The Crazies where he's like, we didn't even know where we were at until we saw the license plates. That's what I felt like. I was like, oh, we're in Pawtucket Village, part of Preston, Connecticut. Like it was nuts.
Yeah. And you guys just go there for 20 days and you're working and you're doing all this stuff and you're the blood, sweat, and the tears and and everything. And then somebody's got to come and take all that footage and like I said, whittle it down to 6 episodes. I mean, it could have been 8, 10, 12. It could have been, double the length, but to whittle it down to that. And then people are like, well, this, I don't listen to naysayers and stuff, because people are always, they'll listen to a podcast and they're like, well, why didn't you do this? Or you should do that. Or they should have this. And it's like, I get it, but you can't second guess everything. You can't go and, look everything that way. You just have to accept sometimes things are what they are, and you watch it and then that's it. And,
Yeah. You and I figured that out a couple of weeks back with Halloween Ends. I mean, people rip that to pieces. I mean, October was just a bad month for reviews, unless you're Terrifier 2. But
I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen that one yet.
It's a hoot. I sat and watched it last night. But the reviews, I mean, you can only look at so many bad reviews about something that you're a part of, and then you just kind of you're over it. You're like, yeah, whatever. I don't need to see it anymore.
Well, then when they get personal, they're like, well, they didn't do what they said they did. They're liars. Well, then you're like, whoa. Then that just kind of discounts everything else that you say. Like, you can say what you want about the research we gathered. You could say this or that, but to call me a liar and say that we didn't do what we said we did, I mean, that's too much.
Yeah. My favorite is they're bad acting. Everybody on there is a paranormal investigator in one way or another. And I'm the furthest thing away from acting that there is out there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I probably couldn't even act right now if you asked me to. The neat thing about getting crappy reviews is that I've formed a couple actual friendships out of it. Just seeing people's scathing reviews, and I actually interact with them, and it turns into, you know, a conversation. And oh wow, it turns out that big dude from 28 Days Haunted is pretty cool. So I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yeah, it slices and it cuts.
Yeah. You come across so honest, like on Twitter and everything too. You're just like, hey, I'm just this big guy from Iowa, and we had a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. It was hard. This was, you know, I mean, and then you're just real positive with everybody else that was doing something in the paranormal field. And then you're working with like one of the OGs that's out there right now, or one of the pros, Aaron Sagers. I mean, he's I met him at Strange Escapes, Paranormal Caught on Camera, Den of Geek, everything he does. I mean, that guy oozes creative content. I mean, that's his gig. You know, I mean, he's a pro, and it's good to see that like you guys got along so well, and he seems really cool. You know, I've only met him that one weekend, but
yeah, he seems like a cool guy. I finally got to sit down and chat with him for his Den of Geek show. We had a real good conversation, and everybody was laughing on that one. I hope to actually get to meet him in person. Maybe a convention or something sometime. He seems like a good dude to kick back and have a drink with.
Yeah. And, you know, I talked to him for a long time at Strange Escapes, and just whip smart, you know, like he knows his stuff. You know, you're not going to put anything over on him. I mean, he knows pop culture. He knows his paranormal. He knows all this stuff at the drop of a hat, you know, smart guy, you know, he's worked hard to get where he's at. That's for sure.
Yeah. He is definitely I'd say he's the main suspect as far as responding to scathing reviews on Twitter. I mean, he just lights people on fire, and it's like, well, we're going to screenshot that and frame that one.
Funny. So how does a guy in Iowa, last question, how does a guy in Iowa become a Nebraska Cornhusker fan? How does this happen? Because you're throwing bones, you're GBR, you got it all.
Marry a woman that's her whole family's from Nebraska.
There you go. There you have it, kids.
Before that, I didn't really watch college football. Before that, I was just strictly NFL, you know, Kansas City Chiefs guy. I got pictures of me as a baby wearing Kansas City gear.
There you go.
So I'm not a bandwagoner.
Nope. I gotcha.
But yeah, then we started watching Nebraska after I met her. I was been here since Pelini. And then toughed it out through the Mike Riley era.
Yeah.
And through the Frost let down. And now we're seeing a glimmer of hope with Mr. Mickey Joseph. And if it was up to me, I'd hire him tonight.
Yeah, I like the guy. I think it's a shame that he has not had the chance to be a head coach yet, because I like everything that comes out of his mouth, and he's got the kids playing harder. And he's kind of got the shitty end of a stick, man. It's like, yeah, you might get this gig, but you got to take these kids that haven't been coached well in 5 years and make them win 6 games. It's like, what the hell, dude? Who can do that?
That's exactly what's going on right there. These kids have not been coached well at all in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Adrian Martinez. I'm like, almost like, did I say Taylor? Adrian Martinez goes to Kansas and is just, you know, Super Bowl bound in his first year with his new team. Like, what's the deal here? I mean, because when he was with Nebraska, it was like, get him off the field, put Masker in. Come on.
Right. Now that we've lost everybody that's been listening to the show so far.
Yeah. And that'll about do it for the downloads.
That's right. Yeah. Well, hey, we keep it real. We're in the historic haunted heartland, man. Nebraska, Iowa. We've got the connection.
Yeah. Sure.
There it is, man.
We got a Nebraska semi truck right here.
There we go.
I keep it up on the shelf right next to my Oscar Mayer Wiener Weenie Mobile. There it is.
Fantastic. Well, look, man, let's stay in touch. Let's hook up sometime. I would love, like I said, just to I think it would be a lot of fun to spend a creepy afternoon or evening in a abandoned building with you sometime. It'd be a lot of fun, and I look forward to when we can do that.
We can definitely do Malvern. It's been quite a while since I've gone across the street to the Classic Cafe for one of their genuine Iowa tenderloins. I've had 3 of them now.
When in Malvern, yeah, and I've eaten at the Classic. I also had a nice burger and ice cream over at the C&M's Cafe. And if those places are closed, you can go get a slice of pizza at Casey's. So there you go.
Absolutely. I'd love to get out there one day early enough to like fart around inside of that model train, whatever it is. I don't know if it's like a model train retail store or a museum, but I think that'd be neat to get in there and poke around, see what they got.
For real, man. For real. Well, let's do it. Everybody, I've had the pleasure of having Mr. Nick Simons on the show from 28 Days Haunted and a whole lot more. So you have to catch him on his YouTube channel, and I'm sure you'll see his bright, smiley, happy face with all that Midwest good looks and charm on your television screens again sometime. So Nick, man, I really appreciate your time coming on the show, and I I appreciate your good nature and your positive attitude and everything else, man. It's been a real lot of fun talking to you.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. There we go, everybody. Mr. Nick Simons from right over across the river in Iowa. But don't hold that against him. Haha. Sorry, Nick. He's a Nebraskan at heart. Great guy, great conversation. Really looking forward to hanging out with him live and in person at some point. So here we are, kids. End of November. Another fantastic year of Necronomicast episodes right there for you, for your listening pleasure. Save for posterity, for future generations. A time capsule of conversations. So, coming up next, I'm trying really hard to secure a very special interview, and I'm going to find out in the next 48 hours if it's going to happen. So hopefully that does happen, and you get to hear that interview. But if it doesn't, no big deal. We'll get it next time. And in December, you're going to get the greatest hits episode of this past year of interviews and conversations, and a little bit from my live event back in October with John Tenney, Johnny Hauser, and Jamie Nestrel. So thanks for listening. I love each and every one of you so very deeply. Have a great evening, a great life, a great afterlife. Good night, everybody.